What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Coach Salas, trainer of WBA welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer YORDENIS Ugas, who is 27 wins, 4 losses, no draw, 12 wins by way of knockout. YORDENIS Ugas is 35 years of age, 5'9" with a 69-inch arm reach. He's going into a massive unification showdown with undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be the top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Errol the True Spence Jr., who is 27 wins, no losses, no draw, 21 big wins by way of knockout. He is 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Mr. Salas, Coach Salas, he obviously did an interview. They held the weigh-ins today, in which Errol Spence weighed in at 146.2. YORDENIS Ugas, he weighed in at 146.8. And he weighs in to the keys to victory. And he brings up the fact that Errol Spence was supposed to face off against legendary 8th Division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, August 21st of 2021. But Errol Spence, he suffered a broken or detached retina, which saw him have to be removed from the fight. And YORDENIS Ugas replaced Errol Spence. YORDENIS Ugas was supposed to be the co-main event, and he was supposed to face off against Fabian Maidana, who was the younger brother of former world champion, Argentinian superstar boxer Marcos El Chino Maidana, okay? So Fabian Maidana, oddly enough, suffered a similar injury like Errol Spence, an eye injury that saw him pulled from the fight, okay? So with that said, Errol Spence is making his comeback now against YORDENIS Ugas. YORDENIS Ugas, he dominated Manny Pacquiao. He won a unanimous decision against Manny Pacquiao, and he shocked the world, the biggest win of his career. So with that said, now we have, that leads us into where we are today. Errol Spence versus YORDENIS Ugas, unification bout, 3 belts are on the line, and our fight is scheduled to take place this upcoming Saturday, tomorrow night. Well, Coach Salas, he believes that he sees a lot of flaws in the game of Errol Spence Jr., but one thing he's banking on is that he doesn't believe that Errol Spence's eye is going to hold up. Now, Errol Spence immediately had to have surgery on the eye. Errol Spence, it was his right eye. Errol Spence, he stated that he was informed that he could possibly lose his sight if he didn't immediately get the surgery. That's how bad the eye injury was. Obviously, Errol Spence, he wanted to proceed with the fight against Manny Pacquiao. It's a legacy fight for Errol Spence Jr., okay? But obviously, he wasn't able to continue. So with that said, we know the rest is history. So Coach Salas, he believes that YORDENIS Ugas being too big, too strong, too accurate, they're about the same size. You look at the pictures, the photos at them at the weigh-in, at the press conference, YORDENIS Ugas looks slightly bigger than Errol Spence. He comes from that Cuban school of boxing. So Coach Salas is believing that they're going to target the eye, okay? And he says that he does not believe that the eye is going to hold up, in similar fashion to when Errol Spence, he fought against former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer Special K, Kell Brook, for his first world title opportunity back in 2017. Kell Brook was coming off of a broken orbital bone. When he dared to be great, he jumped up from 147 to 160 to challenge then unified middleweight world champion, superstar boxer Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Okay, Gennady Golovkin broke Kell Brook's orbital bone. Then 9 months to 10 months later, Kell Brook, he faced off against Errol Spence, and Errol Spence, he broke the other orbital bone. Okay, so with that said, Errol Spence was victorious, and a lot of people initially, I was one who thought that the orbital bone was easier to break because it's like a eye lens. Once you break one lens, the other one is susceptible to be broken. But upon doing further research and surgeons and things that I know, they actually said it just strengthens it, right? So Errol Spence, he just simply broke Kell Brook's orbital bone, okay? And, you know, Coach Salas, he believes that Kell Brook was never the same. He was damaged goods. Kell Brook was always concerned about the eye. And he believes that Errol Spence is going to be concerned about the eye. And he don't believe the eye is going to hold up because the accuracy, the sharp punching, and the size and the strength of Yordenis Ugas is going to play a major part. Yordenis Ugas is not the biggest puncher. In 31 fights, he has 12 knockouts. So that lets you know he's just simply not the biggest puncher in the welterweight division. Okay, he does have respectable power. You know, he's very sharp with his punches. He's very accurate. But, you know, he's not the biggest puncher. Okay, he does come from that Cuban school of boxing. But if they're banking on Errol Spence eye giving out, right, then they could be setting themselves up for failure, okay? Because we saw injuries like this in the past, okay? Sugar Ray Leonard, he suffered an injury like this back in the 80s, and he was able to make a full recovery. And, you know, medical science and, you know, technology has gotten far better than it is back in the 80s. We're talking 40 years ago. And you know, injuries that were in the past back then compared to today, it's not even close. The technology and, you know, the abilities to make adjustments and heal athletes. You know, once upon a time when you looked at, you know, Achilles injuries, right? When you looked at guys with Achilles injuries and you looked at guys with, you know, ACLs and things of that nature, right? It's night and day. Today's time compared to yesteryear, it's night and day, right? It's not even close as to the leaps and bounds and the jumps they have made, you know, in technology and able to heal, you know, have fighters recover, you know, and be able to resume careers. Back in those days, man, fighters, athletes alone, they suffered Achilles injuries, they suffered ACL injuries, and they couldn't make a comeback. Again, Sugar Ray Leonard, he suffered the same eye injury that, you know, that Errol Spence suffered, and he made a full recovery. That was after he fought Tommy the Hitman Hearns. Many people thought, even including Sugar Ray Leonard, that his career was over. Sugar Ray Leonard, he made a full recovery. You know, people thought he wasn't going to be the same when he did come back, but he was able to make a comeback, right? And he fought big fights like Marvin Hagler. He had big fights afterwards, okay? So with that said, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, was able to do it, and that was in the 80s. Errol Spence, I truly believe that he'll be able to do it. We're in 2022, okay? So if they're banking on that, now we heard also Coach Salas, he stated that, you know, Yordenis Ugas has an arm reach advantage. He's bigger and he has heart, and that's what's going to see him win the fight. Yordenis Ugas, he stated that Errol Spence, he hopes Errol Spence stands in front of him, don't runs around the ring, because he's going to do what he normally does, stand in the pocket, stand in front of Errol Spence, trade with him, and he's going to win the fight. He's guaranteeing that he's going to win the fight. Coach Salas, he says he sees a lot of mistakes that Errol Spence makes. Obviously, he's supposed to say that, and he feels like, you know, Errol Spence is not as technically savvy or has a ring IQ like Yordenis Ugas, right? And I just think that, you know, they are underestimating Errol Spence Jr. I truly believe that they're underestimating Errol Spence Jr. And if they're truly banking on the fact that Errol Spence Jr. eye may not hold up, they're going to target it, right? To see if it actually holds up, or if he's concerned about it, or if he's going to be timid about it. Is he going to protect it? I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that Errol Spence, his mindset when he was first informed that his eye was injured, that he would be able to fight with one eye against Manny Pacquiao, because it was a legacy fight for Errol Spence. It was a passing of the torch fight for Errol Spence. And obviously it was a massive payday for Errol Spence that he missed out on. And, you know, Errol Spence's mindset is to be a dog, right? You got to take into consideration Errol Spence, after unifying the titles back in September of 2019 against two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter. Errol Spence, he suffered a horrific car accident just 12 days later, and Errol Spence coming off a 14-month layoff, nearly a year and a half layoff, after suffering that horrific car accident, going through rehab. He fought one of the best welterweights and one of the best fighters in his era, in two-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, when many people advised Errol Spence to take tune-ups to, you know, get his feet wet. And Errol Spence, he admitted he wasn't even 80% of himself. And his coach, well-renowned trainer, former trainer of the year, Derrick James, he said that he don't even believe that Errol Spence was 50% of himself. He just wanted to, you know, get back in the ring, and he did so against one of the biggest punchers. Danny Garcia is heavy-handed in both left and right hand, and he did so against one of the biggest punchers and the best fighters of his era in Danny Swift Garcia. So I highly doubt that Errol Spence's mindset is going to be showing any concern or any lingering effects from the eye injury. I believe that he'll just go out there and what happens, happens. So we got to see how this unfolds, but I believe it's a grave mistake on the part of Yordenis Ugas and Coach Salas if they truly believe that Errol Spence Jr. eye is not going to hold up and they're going to target it. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.